You ask, what is our policy? I say it is to wage war by sea, land, and air with all our might. We shall never surrender!
That is one of the films that you will see at the 17th Annual Scottsdale International Film Festival. It kicks off November the 2nd and goes for the next 4 days. And Amy Ettinger is here with a preview. So that is just one of the films. What were we looking at right there?
That's Darkest Hour with Gary Oldman. Believe it or not, he's buried behind all that makeup.
Really?
Yeah, embodying Winston Churchill.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So that's just one of the films.
Yes.
So kind of walk us through, for someone who's never been to a film festival, I think when we hear international and independent, we think a French film that we won't understand with lots of subtitles for 2 hours.
Thank you for saying that, because there's plenty of those, although this is a festival where a lot of people can get a lot out of it. It's something for everybody. And so if you want to go there and see comedies and you want to see films that are in English, we've got plenty of those. If you want to be a little bit more heady, a little bit more intellectual, or armchair travel, then we have plenty of films from around the world.
Tell me, are they short films, feature-length films?
It's all feature-length films. We did try short films in the past and they didn't go over so well. So you'll get a mix of things like documentaries, films from the Far East, the Eastern Bloc, films from France, you know, countries of romance, new releases like Darkest Hour. We've also got a film called Last Flag Flying with Steve Carell and Bryan Cranston, which
kind of seems like it would be a setup of maybe a funny film when you say Steve Carell, Bryan Cranston. It's not, though. This is going to be
a dramedy,
more,
yeah, and it's going to be touching. And it's also one of our 2 Bryan Cranston films.
Oh, really?
We do have a comedy with Bryan Cranston called The Upside, which is a remake of a French film, which happens a lot in Hollywood, right?
Okay, yes, yeah.
So they take all the really great stuff and they remake it into something that's more accessible. So The Upside is something that will be playing on our Sunday night.
And the thing about this, though, with the film festival, these aren't movies that, I could just see that any night of the week at any theater around town. I mean, this is, if you want to see these movies, now would be the time.
Sure. Well, about 80% of the programming are films that you probably won't see again, or maybe you'll be lucky enough to find on Netflix next year. But for the most part, they're films from all over the world that are gems, really gems. We handpick them. It's a boutique collection. It's like a curated collection.
And here's the Last Flag Flying, I think, that you were just talking about right now that we've got up there. So when is that one? Is that closer to the beginning or the end of the week?
That's our closing night film. And it stars also Lawrence Fishburne. And it's a very touching film. And at the same time, like I said, these 3 guys all have a sense of humor. So they yuck it up a little bit. But I think it strikes to the heart of a father's dilemma about what to do with his fallen soldier son.
That would be it. But then you say you have comedies too, if it needs to, you need to bring yourself. So you've got The King of Peking.
Right, The King of Peking. That's a darling film. I think of it almost like a movie within a movie. There's an older Wong, his name is Big Wong, and the son.
And I do see subtitles there.
Right, and that does have subtitles. It's a film that is about equipment failure. They travel around to these little town squares and they show films. And one day the film stuff just breaks, and what happens after that to Big Wong and Little Wong is the subject of the film. And there is a mom in the storyline, but this figures prominently between the father and the son.
Have you seen these films already?
Of course, I've seen every single one of them.
You previewed them.
Yes,
so what's your favorite that you've seen?
Well, I have a top 10 list, but I have to tell you the biggest film for me that just made the biggest impact, that I thought was the most important, that was the most moving, the most stirring, is called In Syria. And it looks like it was shot in the middle of a war zone. It was, in fact, not shot in the middle of a war zone. It looks like it's documentary, and it's you feel like you're in the midst of these people's terrifying couple of days.
And you had mentioned too that you have a top 10, and that's because you have what, 40 films in the film festival?
We have 40 films that the adults can see. We also have 10 films that are for children, but it's sold out.
So, for the whole family, we've got everything. And the tickets are $12, $25 if you want to go to the opening night. Again, this is happening November the 2nd through the 6th, and you can see all these movies at the Harkins Shea 14. And also, if you want a pamphlet so you can plan out your time, they're available at AJ's. Coming up next, Home Depot Debbie's getting us ready for spooky Halloween.